Hello and welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast. I'm your host, Robin Hackney, and I'm so happy that you're here. This podcast is a place for conversations about balancing a healthy lifestyle and being happy. More specifically, happy hour. Together, we'll explore all things wellness and wine. I hope you learn a little, laugh a lot, and along the way, know you're not alone on this balanced wellness journey. Ready to jump in? Pour something in your glass that makes you happy because it's time for Spandex and Wine. Hello and welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast. I'm your host, Robin Hackney, and some of you are going, wait a second, it's Tuesday and she's putting out an episode. And others are like, wait a second, it's Tuesday. She's supposed to have an episode. What is she talking about? Well, last week in my newsletter, I announced that I am going to cut back from Tuesdays and just do Friday episodes. It might just be a summer thing. It might last for a while. I'm not sure. But number one, in the show notes, there's a link to get subscribed to the newsletter. So make sure you get that done so you don't miss any information. But also, I just needed a break a little bit because one of the things that I was noticing is I was talking to you guys about excess cortisol and stress and how that can really affect you, especially if you are in menopause. And as much as I love the podcast, there is a stress level that goes with it, making sure that I get the episodes correctly done and uploaded on time. That time frame and that getting 2 a week. It's just been a little bit much for me as I do my other jobs as well. So I decided to cut back on Tuesdays. And, like I said, it was just, even though it's a happy stress, it's an extra additional stress. And, sometimes it's not a happy stress. Maybe sometimes I'm really freaking out down to the wire trying to get it pulled together. But I don't want to put myself in that situation. I don't want to have my husband oh my gosh, here she goes again, freaking out. I want to make the best of every moment that I possibly can. I know that there'll be moments where, yes, I am stressed, but as much as I can eliminate that in life, I think that that is going to be very key to just a lifetime of happiness. And we all deserve that. And I decided I wanted to publish something today because I had a special interview that I did with Brittany Vandenbrink, and she is the founder of Austin's Flower Farm. And I think that once you listen to this episode, you'll walk away with, okay, yeah, I need to create as much happiness in my life as possible. And I hope you enjoy this episode. Thanks. Well, hello and welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast. Brittany, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. I wanted to have you on because I came across your Instagram account and I was so inspired by it. And, with it being Spandex and Wine, spandex stretches. I feel like I can have all kinds of wellness topics on there with some wine sprinkled in. But the importance of mental health after a tragedy. So I want to, if you don't mind, just telling us your story and all the wonderful that you are doing from that.
Sure. So my story really starts way back about 4 or 5 years ago. I was a PhD candidate and I was just immensely unhappy. I was commuting to the big city. I had one toddler at the time, and it was just taking a toll on my mental health. And that's when I first started gardening. And it was a small veggie garden. And it was just a way to get out in nature, and also just try to be a little bit more healthy for our family because I was starting to experience recurrent miscarriages, which were obviously concerning. So that was really helpful. As the years went on, we expanded the garden, but it was still just a vegetable garden for our family. I went on to have 3 children at that point, and 3 more miscarriages, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then eventually that culminated in us losing a baby son that was much closer to term. His name was Austin. And that was last February. And by then I had dropped out of my PhD program to try to find, something that was more aligned with my values. I was home with my kids. And when Austin passed away, we finally learned that my husband and I both had a genetic condition that were contributing to those losses. It was nice to have answers, but it was also really difficult news to hear, right? Because there
Hmm.
was not really a way forward for our family after that because we had this felt like insurmountable problem because each of our pregnancies had a chance of being affected by that condition. So at that point, I kind of switched gears and I had received, sorry, so many, so many, sorry, I had received so many lovely messages from people in our community. They sent me flowers, and I suddenly just felt called to, like, I just found those flowers so powerful. I kind of felt called to shift gears. And I started a flower farm on a whim. I called it Austin's Flower Farm. And that first summer last season, I delivered bouquet subscriptions to our community.
Hmm.
So, sorry, Robin.
There's a little one.
Yeah, okay. It's only a month old.
Oh, how cute.
To eat. So that first summer, I started by delivering bouquet subscriptions to our community. So every week, my bouquet subscription members would receive a bouquet of fresh cut flowers right from our flower field. And it was immensely healing to be able to get outside and have something positive to pour my grief into, um, and just honor Austin with. So that's the
Yeah.
gist of my story.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, I can't even imagine going through that many miscarriages and then losing a child. And I mean, so many people would have just curled up in the fetal position and just called it, I'm done. I can't handle this. So it's
Mhm.
amazing that you were able to turn it around to touch so many lives.
Yeah, I felt like doing that at sometimes, but I think for the sake of my other kids and
Sure.
the vision we had for our family, yeah, it was the right decision.
Yes, absolutely. So what are your plans now with the farm?
Yeah, so now we're hoping to expand. We're what you call a microflower farm. So I'm only growing on about 2,000 square feet, but you really can grow a lot of cut flowers on a small space. So I've expanded my clientele. Last season, I offered only about 20 bouquet subscriptions. Now I've realized that I can do many more. So I'm doing about 35 this season. Um, as well as one wedding, and just like a couple other offerings. And then eventually, we'd love to look into perhaps getting some more land on a neighboring property, but that's fun ideas for down the road. Right now, we're just starting small and taking the next right move at a time.
Right, right. And so you're just local. I think I saw on your Instagram account that you're local and you don't really have any goals to grow it national. You just want to help other people do the same thing. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. So, in terms of flowers, I don't think I have any goals to ship flowers across the country. Some flower farms do that, which I think is great. At this point, that's not on my horizon. We'll see. But I do a little bit of education, which I started this winter when the growing season had slowed down. Um, I love, just sharing my story with other people to inspire them to get outside, get in the garden, and, if it's part of their story, make gardening part of their healing journey as well. But I also have a marketing background, and I've heard from many other flower farmers that they love growing the flowers because it's great for their mental health. They love sharing their flowers, but they have a hard time selling their flowers. So I saw a need there. So that's the education component of my business where I help other flower farmers market their flowers as well.
Oh, awesome. So do you do online courses or how does that work?
Yeah, so I don't have an online course that's launched yet. I have a few online resources. My
Okay.
biggest offering is a guide that walks you through the steps to launch a brand new flower farm or a brand new offering on your flower farm. And I hope to put together a course probably next growing season when, next winter when things slow down again, to help other flower farmers start a successful bouquet subscription program as well.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. So then will you go back to get your PhD, do you think, or are you just like, you're done?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
think I did a lot of, you know, soul searching.
Hmm.
And where I landed was, that was kind of my goal right out of my undergraduate degree. And I've landed on the conclusion that it's okay to have new dreams. It took a lot to get there because it felt like giving up, throwing in the towel
Hmm.
on years of hard work. But when I really dug deep, I think what I realized was that I really just wanted flexibility in my life to be with my family. And academia offers you that. You have a lot of intellectual freedom, freedom of your schedule as well. And that's what I really
Mhm.
wanted. And I'm fulfilled in those ways now by doing my own work on the flower farm and being home with my kids.
That's wonderful. That's great. I love it. I love it. And priorities change, things change in life and priorities change and we see things differently and that's perfectly
Exactly.
fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Oh, goodness. So then tell me, okay, how many little ones do you have now then?
So we now have four.
Okay.
So after Austin passed away, and we got those answers, which was nice, but also difficult. We weren't sure what the next step would be. We could have stopped at three, but our dream for our family was to always have four children. My husband was one of four. Um, and so we considered all our options. We thought about pursuing IVF with genetic testing. It's obviously very expensive, especially when you have the added genetic testing component. But as luck would have it, ended up getting pregnant unexpectedly, if I can share that. And fortunately, our baby was healthy. So just last month, we had a baby boy. So now our family is complete. So I'm happy to say that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Yes. Yes. So then with four little ones, since this is spandex and wine, I thought I would just ask about like your exercise routine because I can't imagine like you're probably just running around with them and that's all you get in.
For
And
now,
gardening.
it's funny. When I was younger, I used to run marathons, and now I think I'm just chasing children for this season. I
Yes.
want, yeah, I want to get back into something more formal, but I think especially during the summer when we're out in the garden, that's about it for now. In the winter, I lean more into yoga and taking walks when I have a little bit more space to
Yeah.
breathe. But yeah, for now, that's it, and that's kind of the season that I'm in.
Wonderful. Yes, I've always said that it would be perfect to have a diet called the 4-year-old diet. And all you do is follow a 4-year-old around and do everything that he or she does.
Because they are busy.
Yes, that's true. It is so true. So, I'm wondering if there's someone listening right now that has had a difficulty with pregnancies, they've had several miscarriages. What advice would you give them?
Oh, that's so hard because, there's really no fixing it. So I
Hmm.
think just letting yourself feel your feelings and feel that grief is immensely important because you really just have to go through it to get through it. That being said, there does come a time where it does start to feel better. When you're first in the thick of it, it feels like your life is shattered and you're not sure how you can ever feel better again. But you do slowly start to pick yourself up and feel better. So I just encourage you to do what you have to do to get to that point. And you're never the person you were before, but it will start to get better. So just finding the people who lift you up instead of, make you feel worse about the situation and finding the things you love to do. For me, it was getting out in the garden. For others, it might be, exercise or what have you, but just finding those things that make you feel a little bit more like you, and I think slowly and step by step, it does start to get better.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. That's good. So if I had to tell you you could only grow one flower, what would be
Wow.
the flower that you would grow?
That's so hard. It's kind of like choosing one child.
Yes.
Being a beginner flower farm, I already don't grow too many because, we're trying to keep it small and sustainable. But I think I would have to pick a flower called Cosmos. I've really kind of done a 180. They're this really whimsical, beautiful cut flower with super long stems, and they're really dainty looking. But at first, I didn't find that they lasted very long in a vase, which is, it's really important as a cut flower farmer that you have beautiful bouquets that last as long as possible for your customers. But I finally found some varieties that last a little longer, and they've stole my heart. So Cosmos would be it.
Okay, that is good to know. Well, then, do you have advice for how you can keep your flowers alive longer in the vase?
I do. I don't always follow it as a busy mom, but it's a couple things that you can do. Is to always start with a clean vase, like sanitize your vase. And then obviously have clean water going in, and then change your water every day or two. When you notice that it starts to get murky, change your water. That will help immensely. And then also snip the bottom of your stems every couple days. That helps too. It just freshens them up and lets them take a fresh drink of clean water. And then lastly would be just to remove those stems or the pieces of foliage in your bouquet that are starting to, get a little brown. And that will help the other ones that are still doing well stay fresh for longer.
Okay, I've been doing everything wrong, so thank you.
I have been too. I've learned a lot the past 18 months, or less than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you said 18 months. Says, wow,
Yeah, I
you've
guess not
grown
even.
really fast
It's
then.
been about 15 months. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Well, congratulations on your success and, again, for just finding the positive in a situation that probably felt really dark, really dark.
Yeah,
So,
it was. And I'm in a much better place now, but thank you for recognizing that.
yeah, yeah. Well, you take care. Oh, how can people find you? Let's go over that.
Sure. So I'm Austin's Flower Farm online. I'm most active on Instagram at Austin's Flower Farm. So my flowers right now are only for sale locally, but I do a lot of, like I mentioned before, some education and just trying to connect with others who have experienced losses. So I'm active on Instagram at Austin's Flower Farm.
Nice. Thank you so much. And thanks for taking the time to be here.
Yeah, thank you again.
Yes, absolutely. Another big thank you to Brittany. She was delightful to talk to, and I can't even imagine going through what she went through, but what an inspiration that she was able to turn that around and help so many other people through Austin's Flower Farms. Please go follow her on Instagram. She has some wonderful content. I think that you'll enjoy it. And today for the takeaway, I think I'd like to challenge you to just take a look at your own life and your mental health and well-being and see what you can do to improve that. It might be cutting something out like I'm doing. I'm cutting back on the podcast on Tuesdays, or it could be something that you're going to add into your life. Maybe you're going to take a walk every afternoon, and not for exercise, but just for you to unwind and have that mental break. It doesn't matter what it is. Take inventory, get it done, and I know that you're going to feel much better. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to follow Spandex and Wine so you don't miss an episode. To do this, just go to the podcast and click subscribe or follow wherever you are listening. Look for the plus sign or follow button. This is one of the best things that you can do for the podcast. If you'd also be willing to give a 5-star review, that would be amazing and much appreciated. Lastly, please share an episode with a friend or 5 to keep the love going, and join the Spandex and Wine community in our private Facebook group by searching Spandex and Wine. Feel free to reach out to me at any time by emailing info@spandexandwine.com or text me at 913-392-2877. I appreciate you. Thank you.